Mansa Musa is one of the most recognizable medieval rulers of West Africa. Many people who know nothing about African history may still be able to speak about the wealth of the famed king. Popular culture does a decent job at highlighting his wealth and global status, but many people have no idea what he actually did with his money. Today, we're going to discuss what we know about how Mansa Musa spent his wealth. What up, African world? It's Homesy here, and welcome back to another video of African history, culture, and worldview. By supporting this channel on Patreon, you're helping in the creation of these videos and contributing to this content. The link to Patreon is in the description box below. Also, stay tuned with a word from my sponsors.
Hello, my name is Howard Dorsey. I'm 54 years old. I'm here to talk about my experience with herbal results. I was getting sick, so I went to the doctor, and they told me that my blood pressure was high, my cholesterol was borderline or high, so I was very sick. You know, sometimes I thought I was dying at some point. And I ordered a bottle of olive leaf extract. This is how the bottle comes in. And within the first probably week and a half, 2 weeks, I checked my blood pressure and it was back down to normal. It was like 120/80. My cholesterol went down to 125. You know, I definitely believe that olive leaf extract from Herbal Results saved my life. And that's real. I mean, I recommend it to everyone in my family, my friends, and we've seen a lot of results in that manner as well.
Purchase now at herbalresults.net.
Now, most people are aware of Mansa Musa's story. He undoubtedly became internationally known because of his legendary trip to Mecca. His stop in Egypt is of particular interest because he brought in so much gold that it was devalued for quite some time afterwards. The monomania surrounding this one event catapulted him into legendary status. However, there are some other salient accounts we rarely hear about. The most striking is how Mansa Musa essentially had to borrow money from Egyptian merchants due to his unregulated spending habits. Unfortunately, the local merchants cheated him and his entourage in the process, which garnered Egypt a very poor reputation amongst the Malayans. One report tells us that the Mansa was forced to borrow money from Egyptian merchants who made 700 dinars for every 300 they lent, a very high rate. Aside from the blatant exploitation, this event speaks to something interesting concerning the financial character of Mansa Musa and the mindset he had going into the trip. Writing in the 14th century, Ibn al-Dawadari tells us that the Mansa and his followers bought all kinds of things from the new and old Cairo. They thought that their money was inexhaustible. Mansa Musa and his advisors obviously did not take a parsimonious approach, and they may have wanted to make a statement. Given all the expenses made in Cairo, we must ask, did the Mansa also advance financial extravagance in support of his own empire? That's an important question to ask. So what did Mansa Musa do with his money? Mansa Musa seemed intent on presenting Mali as a legitimate Muslim power. According to legend, on his travels, he built a mosque every Friday. However, the Tariq al-Fatash shies away from that narrative and claims that the Mansa built a mosque in 6 towns. One of the principal things Mansa Musa accomplished with his money as it concerned his own empire was his building projects. He hired an Andalusian architect to assist in this process. Traveling with Mansa Musa's party from Cairo back to Mali was an architect from Granada named Abu Ishaq al-Sahili, who, like the Mali king, had been on pilgrimage. Al-Sahili would play a critical role in designing state architectural projects for Mansa Musa in several of Mali's administrative centers. The Andalusian architect is thought to have designed the famous Djingueber Mosque in Timbuktu, made of straw, wood, and earth. He is also credited with designing a royal palace for the Mansa in Timbuktu. When the Mansa took Gao, another mosque was built for him, supposedly by al-Sahili himself. although it's a bit ambiguous as to whether he designed this or not. Some assume that al-Sahili's participation evinces the origin of Sudanic architecture. One scholar has this to say on the topic. The discovery of the remains of a mihrab and burnt brick, and the assumption that this was part of the mosque al-Sahili is alleged to have designed, have led some to propose that the Andalusian poet introduced the art of brickmaking to West Africa. Others have even attributed the origins of the Sudanic mosque style to him. Needless to say, such assumptions are not only far-fetched, but lack any shred of supporting evidence in the known sources. Regardless, the most important thing Mansa Musa did was not building projects, even though it's the most noticeable. Mansa Musa's money literally presented Mali on the world stage, giving the Malayan Empire access to global advances. What Mansa Musa really accomplished was to create an atmosphere in Mali that attracted the best and the brightest. The city's University of Sankore had already been around for more than 200 years, but doctors, teachers, imams, and scholars were now flocking to Timbuktu. The young Mansa introduced scholars from the Muslim world and literally put the empire on the map for the international community. For the first time, because of Mansa Musa, the Mali Empire was featured on the Catalan map of 1375. Admittedly, compared to the elaborate stories of splendor and glory upon his arrival in Egypt, the contribution to his own empire seems underwhelming at best. In fact, some in the Afro-descendant community criticized Mansa Musa because of this. In my personal opinion, we have to keep in mind that according to one source, Mansa Musa was one of the youngest emperors of the Mali Empire, as he's believed to have ascended the throne around 23 years old, making his trip at about 35 years of age. And his trip to Mecca perhaps took on considerable anxiety for him, as he may have felt the need to prove his worthiness of such a title. This is perhaps why he overperformed with the monetary flex, if you will. Aside from my own personal analysis, what Mansa Musa's wealth really did was purchase reputation. A reputation that has lasted for centuries and has made waves into modern popular culture. His wealth established a West African empire on the world stage as legitimate, credible, and powerful, opening the door for increased commerce, contact, and intellectual exchange. Well, I'm a lot, guys. If you like these videos and want to help in its continued production, consider supporting the home team on patreon.com. The link is in the description box below. Know thyself. Remember your ancestors. Peace.